right. Alderman Hopkins, we'll start out with you. Alderman Brian
Present.
Hopkins.
Present, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Alderman Dowell.
Here.
Alderman King. Alderman Sawyer.
Here.
Alderman Mitchell. Let's see.
Present.
Gotcha. Alderwoman Harris. Alderman Beal. Alderman Sadowski Garza. Alderwoman. Alderman Thompson. I see.
Present.
Alderman Cardenas. Alderman Quinn.
Here.
Alderman Burke. I saw you there. Yes. Alderman Raymond Lopez. I know.
Hi from West Englewood. Here.
Gotcha. Alderman Moore. Alderman Curtis. Alderman O'Shea. Alderman Brookins. Alderman, let's see, Alderman Brookins. No, somebody else. Alderwoman Tabares. Alderman Scott.
Yeah. Present.
Alderman Burnett. Alderman Irvin. Gotcha. I see you there. Alderman Taliaferro. I got you. Thank you. Alderman Reborius.
Present.
Yes. Alderwoman Austin.
Here.
Alderman Villegas.
Present.
Alderwoman Mitz.
Present.
There you are. Switched you over to from panelist there. Alderman Sposato.
Nick Sposato is here.
Thank you. Alderman Napolitano.
Present, Chairman.
Alderman Riley. Alderman Smith. Alderwoman Smith.
Here.
Alderman Tunney.
Here.
Alderman Osterman. Alderwoman Silverstein. Present. And Vice Chair Hairston.
Present.
Thank you. And Chairman Wagasback is present.
Alderman Silverstein's present.
Alderman
Gotcha.
Cardona is present.
Thank you.
Alderman King is present.
Gotcha. Thank you. Let me just run through the list again very quickly.
We also have Alderman Moore present, Chairman.
Okay. Got it. Thank you. I believe we have 24 members present. We have a quorum. Ladies and gentlemen, let the record reflect that this is a meeting of the Committee on Finance to consider the Enterprise Zone #1 expansion. This is being held pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Illinois Compiled Statutes, Section 655-1, sequitur, which is the whole act. This section requires, Section 655/5 of the act requires that notice of a public hearing for the boundary expansion be considered and published in a newspaper not less than 5 days, nor more than 20 days prior to the public hearing. The enterprise zones are governed by Chapter 16-12 of the Municipal Code of the City of Chicago, known as the Enterprise Zone Ordinance. Public notice regarding this hearing to expand the boundaries of Enterprise Zone #1 was published in the Chicago Sun-Times within the lawful and proper time. And we will attach a record of the proceedings of a copy of the notice of the meeting, which was printed in the Chicago Sun-Times, along with a copy of the certificate from the Sun-Times that was published. So the purpose of the hearing is to consider modifications to the boundaries of Enterprise Zone 1. A map of the proposed expansion of Enterprise Zone 1 is available for public inspection. I don't know if we'll be able to put it up on the monitor for Zoom purposes. But we have several people in attendance today that will be speaking in regards to this. We have Beth McGuire, actually all from DPD, Terrence Johnson, Tim Jeffries, Chip Hastings, and Ricardo Lopez. Before we go to them, I believe we have a couple of people for public comment. You have, yeah, let's see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, since we have the attendees looking to do public comment, if you're an attendee on this meeting, please raise your hand and I will recognize you to speak on this matter if you wish to be heard. And right now in the attendee list, we have Ann Reckelhoff, Bill Garcia, John Malloy from the city, I think, and Marcella, as well as somebody signed in as 26829. Do any of you wish to speak on this matter? All right, I have one person up, Darren Sloniger. Is that Mr. Sloniger?
Yeah, I'm the one making the petition, and
Right.
I just available for questions if you need me.
Okay, did you wish to start out with a statement or just do questions if you have?
No, I'll defer to DPD.
Okay, all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second, please. All right, I don't think any of the attendees wish to speak on this matter, so give me one. Okay. John Malloy, are you on? Did you wish to speak?
No, Chairman. Thank you very much.
Okay, I saw you come off of mute there, so just checking.
Sorry. Thank you.
No worries. And ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder, we're not going to take a vote on this. This is just for public consumption to make sure that we have this hearing. But I will now hand it off to, I believe, Chip Hastings to give a brief overview.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Beth McGuire will be doing the presentation.
All right, Beth. Ms. McGuire, go ahead.
Thank you.
We can hear you, I think. You
Okay,
wanna go
sorry,
ahead?
it showed me muted.
Go ahead and
Beth
proceed.
looks-
Can
Beth
you
looks
allow me
like-
to?
You have to allow Terrence to share the screen. I'm in Terrence Johnson's office.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second. How's that, Terrence? There you go.
Yep, I see.
Yes.
Is everyone ready?
I think we're all set when you are. We can
Okay.
see it and can hear you. So go ahead.
Okay. So, good morning.
And just
My
state
name is-
I'm sorry, state each person who speaks from DPD, just state your name and title and then proceed. Thank you.
For the record, my name is Beth McGuire with the City of Chicago's Department of Planning and Development. Good morning. And we are here today to discuss the expansion of Enterprise Zone 1. The city is seeking to expand the zone to support a new development. The development undertaken by Marquette Companies will revitalize a major intersection, generate a $140 million investment, and create 450 construction jobs and 130 permanent jobs. The area to be added to the zone is a parcel located at 1926 West Harrison in the near west side community area. This map shows the current boundaries of Enterprise Zone 1. It measures approximately 10 square miles and encompasses a large portion of the west side, including portions of community areas such as Lawndale, East and West Garfield Park, Austin, and others. You can see on the map, the area, the small area near the red arrow shaded in blue, that's the expansion area. It's approximately 3 acres. This map shows a closer view of the expansion area. It is bounded by Damon Avenue on the west, Ogden Avenue on the east, Congress Parkway on the north, and Harrison Street on the south. Here is an area context. The site is near Cook County Hospital, Rush Medical Center, the Eisenhower Expressway, and sits within the Illinois Medical District. Another area context showing Malcolm X City College and the Blackhawks Training Center on the north side of the expressway. And here's a close-up of the expansion parcel. Here are some pictures of the current site conditions. The existing apartment building is in need of rehabilitation, which is currently being performed by Marquette Companies. And here are some more site conditions showing, it's obviously very kind of neglected, dilapidated looking. Here is a rendering of the proposed project, which includes 2 newly constructed towers. The expansion process follows the process as laid out in the state statutes. It was introduced to City Council in June. We are now holding the public hearing and then expect approval from Finance Committee and full council in July. The application will then be sent to the State Department of Economic Opportunity for final approval. The enterprise zone expansion would allow the developer to take advantage of the sales tax exemption on construction materials. The project will revitalize a section of Ogden Avenue and bring a significant investment into the area. The Damon Tower will have 283 units and 1,000 square feet of retail. Harrison Tower will have 117 units and 14,000 square feet of retail and 30,000 square foot of commercial. Again, this will be a significant amount of construction and permanent jobs as well. In conclusion, the Department of Planning and Development supports the expansion of Enterprise Zone 1 and can take any questions.
Thank you, Beth. Are there any questions? I have Alderman Tunney.
Thank you, Chairman. And I would like to know, Enterprise 1, when was the last time the map was amended, number 1? Does anybody have a recap of, because I believe these were done under the Clinton administration. So it's been many, many years. And I know the aldermen probably know better than we on the north side, but it seems to me that why we're expanding it when Ogden Avenue is really starting to come on its own with development around the medical center and such with the projects that was already stated. So that might be my opening question.
Thanks, Chairman Tunney. Beth, I believe it was 2014, but do you have details on the specific date on that?
It was 2014. I don't have the specific date of the actual final approval, but it was 2014.
What was 2014?
The last time Enterprise Zone 1 was amended.
And for what reason was it done in 14?
It was done to accommodate 2 new developments, more around Roosevelt Road, I believe.
Okay, it would be interesting if I'm not mistaken. Does anyone from the department know when this original enterprise zone was established?
I believe it was 1982. The program was established by the state. The city has 6 enterprise zones in total.
So it's a state enterprise zone. It's not a federal enterprise zone.
Correct. It's part of the state program.
The only benefit. Tell me what the benefits are. I heard sales tax exemption on construction products. What else will they be benefiting from?
Well, the sales tax on building materials, and also the real estate transfer tax is not applied to sellers. So Marquette does plan to hold this property. And there are also electric and natural gas utility exemptions and certain employment credits, which wouldn't apply here.
Could you explain more about the employment credits?
The employment credits are for bringing new jobs into the zone, but that's kind of, it's a different criteria, and I can speak more fully to it. I can get you more information on that, but I'm not prepared to fully flesh that out today since that's not something that we were considering for this project.
But it's eligible, but the developers are only looking for the transfer tax exemption and the sales tax exemption.
Just the sales tax exemption. They plan to hold the properties.
So they own it now. So there'll be no transfer any real estate because they're holding it.
Yes.
All right, that's it for now. I'm sure I might have some other questions. Thank you.
Yeah, Alderman, I was just looking back at the notes from 2014 and two of the reasons back then that it was expanded. One was for a former vacant industrial building, the Maxwell, that was turned into a 232,000 square foot retail mall at Canal Taylor and Clinton. And the second one was for the UPS property that was included in that. And I don't have the details in front of me, but those were the two properties that were expanded to include those two businesses.
Well,
That was in
and
2014.
So I know that there is a federal enterprise zone benefits too. So I might be confusing the different programs. Because I know in some of them is actually some huge incentives for payroll credits for hiring in enterprise zones. So that's one of the reasons I thought would be obviously beneficial to the applicant. But so I think I'm confusing federal with state.
Alderman,
Thanks.
you may also be thinking of the federal empowerment zones, which has
Okay.
employment credits, but that's not the program we're talking of here.
Is speaking of that, maybe you're right, but is this in one of the empowerment zones too?
I believe the empowerment zones have expired.
Expired? Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was in one of the empowerment zones, but I believe they've expired.
Could I get clarity on that at some future date?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Beth, why don't you send it over to us and we'll, whatever information you find, we will share it with all of the aldermen through the committee. Thank you. Anything else, Alderman? All good?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Okay. I'll jump over to Alderwoman Smith.
Thank you very much. Yes, I thank you, Alderman Tunney, for those questions. I'm going to follow up on his questions to say, since the actual developer is here, I'd like to ask if that's possible for the developer to answer the question of what benefits is he going to be applying for if this economic opportunity zone is expanded.
Sure, Mr. Slaniger, why don't you say your name and title, who you represent, and if you could answer the question, that'd be great. Thank you.
Darren Sloniger, president and owner of the Marquette Companies. What's driving the request is the severe escalation of construction materials. We've found that the IMD has a definite need for housing. If those of you who know, we purchased the existing building, which was a 1967 concrete building. We did a complete gut rehab because there were 32 building violations in that building. We did a new facade program on the building, and we are now in lease up, and we're seeing there's an incredible demand for housing inside the IMD for students and workers who are in the IMD. The problem is that the cost of construction is the same whether as many of you know, I'm developing in the Fulton Market, and the cost of the construction is the same as in Fulton Market, but we can't get the same rents. The rents are lower here and can't support the escalation in construction pricing. And so the sales tax relief on materials gives us the ability to bring the project back into cost alignment to be able to go forward with the project.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other benefits for which you'll be applying?
That's the major one. That's the one that allows this project to get started and get out of.
Okay, is there any federal benefits here that you'll be applying for?
No, this is not an opportunity zone, strictly an enterprise zone, which is driven by the sales tax on materials, construction materials.
Okay, and I guess my next question is to either the developer or the city, which is, Will these apartments be all market rate? Will there be affordable housing? Will it require any affordable housing set aside in this? Just
The
whoever-
new development that we're doing will be all market rate. The existing rehab tower has affordable housing in it that's on the property, but the new towers will not have. It'll be all market rate.
And that's because you're not seeking any, you won't be seeking any zoning or plan development. You won't have anything happening that triggers the ARO under our law, I take.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have. I certainly am sympathetic to the incredible increase in building costs right now. So, yeah, I certainly understand that. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Alderwoman Austin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think this is the bed regarding the Enterprise Zone 1, but are there any other expansions in any of the other Enterprise Zones? I believe the far south side is Enterprise Zone 6.
Alder, we are not looking at doing any other expansions currently.
The reason why I'm asking regarding that because of the explosion in the ninth ward, hoping that it will spill over into the 34th ward.
If
There are no
someone is
projects
interested-
on the horizon.
I'm not sure about new projects, but if somebody wanted to speak to the city about expanding Enterprise Zone 6, I'm sure we can have that conversation.
All right then. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Alderman Moore.
So Alderman Michelle Smith asked my question in terms of the affordable housing, and I know there's not from the development standpoint, nothing triggers the ARO, but still that's money, sales tax money that could be coming to the city. And as Alderman Michelle Smith said, although I'm sympathetic to this, I'm concerned sort of along the lines of what Chairman Austin is saying, and that is, so how are we picking and choosing when to do and expand an enterprise zone? Because I guess when Alderman Tunney first started out, that was my issue when I was looking at and reading the map yesterday. I'm like, man, these are some areas that's up and moving and booming, and they're just going to continue to grow. And I thought when we use these enterprise zones, we're always looking at, doing them in areas where there is, disinvestment and all of that. So how are we choosing when to do and expand enterprise zones? Can that just be done at any whim?
No, Alderman, there is a state process that any expansion has to go through. There's two options. One option is longer. It involves doing like a study and different criteria. And then the other option is specifically tied toward a particular development parcel, which is the option we pursued here.
So given if I'm doing a development in my ward, then if I see the need because of high material costs to do an expansion, DPD would do that expansion?
It would be subjective depending on what the project was. Again, the State Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity has to review all of these expansions. So ultimately, they're the final arbiter on whether or not something meets the expansion criteria. But you also look at the benefits. So, for example, this project is a $140 million investment, hundreds of construction jobs, over 100 permanent jobs, about $800,000 annually in taxes from the retail and commercial space. So again, it's one of those things, if you have someone who is looking at a development, we're happy to have that conversation.
So given all of that and given that there's no affordable, is somebody on this line saying, hey, if this if this expansion is not given, this project definitely would not get done?
That is the way it was explained to us by the developer. And I'm sure he can speak more to any economic hardships, or I believe there's been a lot of COVID related construction increases, material supply chain issues with construction. And if you have more detailed questions, Mr. Sloniger, I'm sure can answer them.
I get that, and that's citywide, so that's what I'm saying. I get that's citywide, definitely, and probably countrywide, but definitely citywide. So I'm asking again, if this doesn't happen, if we don't approve this, does this project, does it not get done, period?
Beth, let me answer that. And I'm going to read specifically the text of the law here so that we're very clear. This is just a public hearing for the city council. There is no vote being taken, as I pointed out at the beginning of the meeting. We have no vote on this. This is modification of the boundaries of Enterprise Zone 1 would only become effective if and when the state of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity approved the expansion of Enterprise Zone 1, and the tax incentives provided by the act and the Chicago Enterprise Zone Ordinance only become effective, or shall only become effective in the expanded portion of Enterprise Zone 1 if and when DECO approves the modification of boundaries of Enterprise Zone 1. So I don't know if that helps.
Thank you, Chairman. That helps. So you saying
Yeah.
it's just informational even for aldermen. At the end of the day, we don't have a say, so it's state approval, right?
Yeah, DECO, State of Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity approves it in the expansion language. So this would just be a public hearing that we have to hold to satisfy the requirements of the act.
All right, thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, sorry about that. I should have pointed that out right when you asked. Did you have any other questions though?
No, Chairman, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Let me go to Alderman Thompson and then Alderman Scott. Alderman Thompson.
Let me get my official background, I guess. There we go. Thank you, Chair. So a couple of questions. One, how many units is the existing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Alderman Thompson, let me just be clear. We're not actually taking a vote in this meeting. We do approve it later on, but this meeting itself, we're not taking a vote. My
Right.
apologies. Sorry about that.
Yep. Thank you. So it was renovate the existing building and then construct 2 new residential towers. Correct me if I'm wrong, these are all rental. And then the question is, how many new units in each building? And how many units are in the existing building? And of those, how many are affordable?
I can answer that, or we can defer to Mr. Sloniger, the developer.
Whoever, Beth, you could do it.
Okay, the existing tower is, I believe, 252 units. Of that, 53 will be affordable. And the 2 new towers, one will be 283 units and one will be 117 units. And there was no affordable unit requirement for those 2 new towers.
Sure. And what is the market rent there?
I'm going to defer to Darren, because you probably are going to have more detailed questions and I may be able to answer.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
The market rent, I can only tell you on a per square foot basis, is about $3.20 per square foot.
Okay. And then while I have you on the phone, you'll be able to answer this probably more. So there's no TIF, you're not seeking it, it's just this incentive, correct?
No, sir, no TIF.
And then what is the estimated tax savings? I know it's $140 million project, but do we know what the estimated tax savings would be?
Spread across both projects, it's a little over $2 million.
Okay. And then how many jobs again was this creating? Construction was like 400 or something?
Just under 500.
And I know my colleague, I'm sure he'll be pushing for neighborhood folks to get those jobs and have job fairs. Do you have an idea of what the economic impact would be? Did you do an impact study of when these are completed? Well, let me start with the basic question is, from a property tax standpoint, when these buildings are completed, what do we think the property taxes will be? What do you estimate them?
Yeah, Alderman Thompson, before he answers, Mr. Sloninger answers, Alderman Irvin's on as well, and this is in his ward. So if you had any questions for him too, just be aware. He might be able to
I'm sure
answer
he'll,
too.
I'm sure he'll answer, and I'm
Yeah.
sure he's, you know,
I
I
was-
think.
Yeah, I was going to have you and Alderman Scott go and then have Alderman Irvin wrap
Sure.
up. But if you, Alderman
Yeah.
Irvin, did you wanna
Absolutely.
answer any of those, or do
And
you
he'll
wanna
put it
wait?
all on the bowl. If we could just get, what I'm trying to understand is what the property tax would
Yeah.
be.
But Mr. Sloniger can answer that first, I think.
Sorry, Beth, I don't have that in front of me. Do you have that on the application right there?
I believe it was about $2 million in annual property taxes and $800,000 in annual sales taxes from the commercial.
So it was like $2.8 million annual
Yep.
economic impact, roughly. Or that's a direct impact, rather, that doesn't account for the new residents that are going to be there and the impact that that'll have with the surrounding restaurants and everything else. So our only investment is roughly $2 million. That's what I'm getting at is, you know, for our $2 million investment, we're going to have.
The investment from us is not $2 million. I mean, the investment from us is essentially the 1% that we would collect on the sales tax plus our home rule portion of the sales tax. That's our investment in this
Yeah,
project.
that's what.
Essentially is
Yeah,
going
I thought he said that was, Jason, I thought he said that it was roughly $2 million. I mean, I think it's a good deal where we invest $2 million in soft dollars, and we're going to collect overall 2.8 million annually going forward.
Money we're foregoing, essentially. It's really the state that really ultimately is
Yeah.
got the biggest chunk of this. So it's really the money that the state is foregoing. Yes, we are foregoing a portion of our local revenue as well as the county. We're foregoing a portion of local revenue. However, the incentive of the annual taxes that the city, county, and state will receive far exceed what we're foregoing today. So I think that overall, this is a positive deal, not only for the taxpayers of Chicago, but for all governmental bodies included, as well as those that would receive something essentially just for not really having to perform much, such as Water Rec and the Board of Education and other taxing bodies would see this increase in new revenue. So I think overall, this is a positive deal for not only for the taxpayers, but for the city and for the area, bringing new people in that area that long has not had, people. Mr. Slangler is correct in the IMD needing residential spaces in order to fulfill its mission, and again, provide some not only workforce, but also market rate housing in the area. So.
Yep, that's what we're consistent. That's what it looked like. It is for relatively low barrier impact or investment, rather. It's a good return. Okay, no further questions. Thank you. Good luck with the project. Alderman Irvin, I think it's a good project.
Thank you.
All right, Alderman Michael Scott Jr. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. So wondering about with these expansions, do they have to be attached to, because I know you said you can do individual parcels. Do they have to be attached to another enterprise zone to be expanded, or how does that work?
So yes, to amend a zone, the parcel does have to be contiguous.
Okay. And so I have a property that is just on the opposite side of an enterprise zone that individuals looking to expand. Would like to talk to you offline. I don't want to do it now, but would love to talk to you and Terrence offline to see if how we get that. And what can you give me the time frame? I know that you said that there are two different time frames. One of them is shorter than the other. Can you just kind of walk me through that really quickly, timeline wise?
Sure. Option one, which is the option we're doing here, where it's for a specific development. Assuming if this was approved by the full council in July, the application will then have to go to the state. Assume probably 30 to 90 days for approval, depending on their workload and, if they're all back in the office. So I think we started discussions with Marquette, with Mr. Sloninger, maybe about February or March. There's you have to go through the application, provide materials, we have internal review. So I would say on the fast end, I would say for an option one, you're probably looking at 5 to 9 months, depending again on certain factors. For the other option, option two, there's a whole study, I believe, that needs to be done. And I think that's probably more like 9 months to a year.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. No more questions.
Thanks, Alderman. Alderman Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to be recognized for purpose of quorum.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got you down. All right. And just to clarify, we weren't taking, Alderman Burnett.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I want to be recognized also, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you. And let me just make sure, run down the list here. Alderman Taliaferro, I have you. Just checking through to make sure I got everybody here. I believe I have everybody else there. All right. And again, we will be actually taking a vote on July 19th in the Finance Committee, but today there is not an actual vote. So I should clarify that. And notice was given at the appropriate time in a public notification in the newspaper. So I want to make sure that we have that down as well. And unless there are, Alderman Tunney?
Yeah.
Questions?
For the developer, is there any covenant in terms of holding on to this property? I mean, the transaction tax, if it was ever, as a benefit, would be huge upon the redevelopment there. So is there any minimum duration where they have to hold the property as part of the agreement? Or will there be, I should say?
If you're asking me, I mean, I think it's only by our reputation. I mean, every property that we've developed, we have held. We developed, for instance, Catalyst Chicago back in 2012 and 13 at Washington and Des Plaines. We still own that. We developed the Mason at Lake Aneda. We still own that. So we're long-term holders of real estate. So I think it's not by covenant, but by reputation that we're, consistently long-term holders of real estate.
Well, that was my question. Thank you.
Thanks, Alderman. Beth, if there's any information that you can provide through the chair, we will get it to everyone before that next Finance Committee meeting on the 19th and get that out to everyone. And with that, this concludes the public hearing as mandated by the Act to be conducted within the confines of the enterprise zone by using Zoom. And the meeting is adjourned.
Chairman?
Yes.
Ed Burke, did you get me?
Yes, sir, I did. I did at the beginning there. I saw you. Let me just double check to make sure before everybody logs off, but I believe that is it. And that concludes the public hearing on this enterprise zone expansion. Thank you everyone for coming today. I appreciate all the questions.